Hi, I'm Connor from Anything with Frets, and I'm here today in Walton's Music. There's a customer who's dropped a guitar in. They purchased this here a number of years ago, and since then it's been their main gigging guitar. It's developed a couple of issues just from excessive playing. So a couple of these notes have developed a buzz and aren't ringing very cleanly. Compared to up here, so everything sounds good. Down here, where they play a lot of their open chords, some buzzes have developed, and the frets have actually just been worn excessively where they play a lot of the time. So the fret wear is chiefly concentrated on the 3rd fret and on the 2nd fret. So they've worn these notes out from playing common chords like G and D and C. They haven't worn out the 4th fret so much. So the strings now, when pressed down on the 3rd fret, are lower, and they can't clear this 4th fret. So what we need to do is level these frets and then recrown them. So what recrowning is putting the curve of the fret back on after they've been leveled. Cool, so we're going to address the issue of the worn frets in this area. Customer hasn't played the guitar so much up here, so there's not much wear up here. So we're going to level this area off and blend it into the rest of the fingerboard. So the next thing to do is cut off the strings. Okay, cool. So the next step in this repair is to tape off the fingerboard so that we don't mark or mar the wood when we're working with files on the wire. So I'm going to tape it all off using the 3M tape, and it's a low tack tape, so it can't pull off any varnish flakes or anything like that from the back of the neck. It's very safe to use. Anything with a stronger tack can actually pull flakes of varnish off the back of a neck, especially on vintage instruments. So it's better to be safe than sorry. So just noticed that the customer's nut is not glued in, or if it was glued in, the glue has failed. So I'm just going to take it off for now. I'll do it back in when the work is done. It's actually handy that it's out of the way, so it won't get in the way of the files. I'll just take it out completely. A scrap piece of paper here as well. I'm just going to put this on the body just to stop any pieces of metal flakes that will come off the frets just ending up on the top of the body. Just a little guarantee that nothing will scratch the guitar, because some of the pieces that come off the fretboard can be kind of sharp. So this will just a little extra step just to stop any flakes damaging the body. It's better to prevent the scratches than have to try and clean them up afterwards. So, before I start leveling the frets, I just want to make sure that I don't need to adjust the truss rod. I want to be working on a flat surface, so I've got a straight edge here, and the frets aren't worn at all in the center. So I'm just going to check on some of the unworn surface that I have a completely flat surface that I'm working on. That I know that I'm working on a flat surface, and it looks perfect. There's no back bow or up bow or anything like that. So yeah, that's kissing the top of all the frets. So we've got a level surface. So what I'm going to do next is use a file, a little handheld file from StewMac, and I'm going to grind the frets flat, getting rid of any of the valleys that have been carved into them. So we'll go and just start. I'm going to concentrate mostly in this area, but I'm going to try and do the entire fret so I don't change the profile of the fret. So I'm going to go from the wear starts about here, so mostly from here up. So I'm moving back and forth across the fretboard. I don't want to just wear this side down, because I'm on a very low fret here on the high fret here, we want to maintain kind of an even surface. So we're good. So I've now removed all of the dips and valleys that were in these frets up here from excessive playing in this area. So the frets are all now flat, but that's not necessarily what we want. Each fret is supposed to have a curved top, so I have to put those curves back on top of the frets now using specialist files. So these files have curve built into them, so when I grind the tops of the frets, it will reintroduce that curve. I've got several different size files, and this size most closely matches the fret wire on this instrument, so I'm choosing this one. First, before I do that, I'm just going to quickly check that everything is level. So I've got a fret rocker that will just make sure that these frets are all level. This thing is machine ground flat. It's guaranteed to be perfectly flat on each edge. So I can check that I've got a completely level surface here. If this rocks, it will rock like a seesaw on a high fret, and I can tell. I haven't leveled up this area at all, so this seems perfect. So let's start recrowning. So what I'm doing in this process is removing the sides of these flattened frets to create a curve. So I'm going to work a little bit to the side on each side and then go across the top. Don't know if the camera can pick it up, but it's quite easy to see. I'll do possibly a more worn one here. We're just going to be left with a very small flat surface on the top of the fret. So I've just finished crowning all these files. So what I'm left with, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, is a tiny little flat area in the center of each fret. There's a tiny little area that I haven't ground away. So that's, I've reduced the flat area and brought the flat area up to a tiny line in the middle of the fret. So now what I need to do is to get rid of all these file marks. They're all very rough because they've been filed with rough tools. They need to be smooth and perfect so you can play them without feeling those rough marks. So first step is sandpaper on these spongy blocks. So what we're going to do is sand out most of the big marks that the files have left. Put a new piece of tape there. Starting to look good. So what I've got here is a sheet of much finer paper than is on this block. I'm just going to wrap it around this block. And this will get rid of any of the other marks that are left there that are a bit finer. We're almost there. The next step is steel wool. Steel wool will get rid of the smaller scratches. It's quite likely we're bringing these frets up to a shine and nicer to bend. So the frets are coming up to a great shine. There's no marks in them, but there was plenty of metal in the fret wire. So the customer should still get years of use out of these before they'll need a refret. I'm going to steel wool all the way up even though I didn't work on these frets, we'll just make them all nice and shiny. And that's pretty much that. So the next thing I'm going to do is going to buff this fingerboard. So even in the factory I can see it wasn't polished up to the level it could have been, so it's going to be better than when it was new. We're just going to put a bit of buffing compound on a drill buffing wheel and basically buff this fingerboard area. It's just basically like a light polish. It's going to buff up the fret wire, it's going to buff up the wood, and it's a lot quicker than me scrubbing it with a cloth. And just wiping off any excess buffing compound. It's just removed any kind of dirt that would have come off the player's fingers when they were playing it. There's not a mark on them, they look brand new. They're a little lower than when we started, but that's fine. This is what happens in the life of a fret. Generally they get leveled and crowned once in their life, and then after that, maybe after another 5 or 6 years of playing, this customer will need to get a refret. Next thing, the nut was loose. This is the nut. It was loose when the guitar came in, so we're just going to use a tiny bit of super glue to put it back on. I'm very carefully going to put a tiny drop of super glue on the back of this nut, just the tiniest amount, because often a future repair person or myself may need to take this out again at some point. If you use excess amounts of glue, you'll never get it out. And so next up I'm going to restring it with a packet of these Dunlop 12s bronze strings. So next up I'm going to cut off the excess with this big snips. The only thing left to consider is I've lowered the fret wire, but I haven't lowered the nut. So now the string height relative to the first fret and the second fret may be a little bit higher. So I'm probably going to fine tune the slots here and lower them slightly, just to put them back to the same height they are relative to the frets as they were when we started. Just reaching for my nut files. So these files are cut to the exact thickness of each string, so I can use a file that's exactly the same thickness as the string, so I don't cut the slots too wide or too thin. We can just cut them to the exact height we want. And I'm going to use a set of feeler gauges to just place alongside the nut so I don't cut them too deep. I want to get it exactly the height I want it. So I'm going to measure the height over the first fret, and I'm going to add a tiny bit on. So that's it, all done. Just tune it up and